Hey everybody out there in Go RPG land, it's me, Benito Garcia, and I am here with another installment of Know Your Nerd, and I'm super excited about this particular episode. I've had a lot of really good friends on here, people that I know, but this one I'm really excited about because I think this is going to be a hoot, and this might be the first one where both people were drinking. So this could get interesting.
So it's going to be the best one.
It's probably going to be the very best one. So,
yes.
I'm going to introduce you to my good friend who has helped me get through this crazy time, this quarantine, and this, I think we've helped each other smile.
Yeah, I was about to say, let's say help each other. It's all about the memes at this point.
Right? If we don't talk every day, I feel weird. So I need my Jenna to put a smile on my face when things are getting rough. I'd like to introduce everyone to Jenna Valadez. So we haven't been friends for, it's been sort of a short time. I think that we've known each other, and I think we were Facebook cohorts maybe originally, and then we'd run into each other.
Right.
And
I think we didn't actually meet face to face until last OCon.
Was it that one, or was it the one prior? I remember you had a really nice, like a 50s housewife dress with
the Marvel Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would have been two OCons ago.
So that was a face-to-face
their nerds together.
quickie meeting, and then the last OCon we actually did get a chance to actually talk a little bit more, and then you introduced me to your podcast, which is the
Galactic Driftwood podcast. Got a great bunch of nerds, Bill, John, Charles, and Seth. Seth was the one who drugged me into it.
Well, I am going to get all the gang on from Galactic Driftwood. I'm excited to get everybody on. We're going to start with you, though, and that's just because you were nice enough to convince those guys to bring me on to your show.
Oh, well, is it nice enough or obsessed enough with the work that you do because you're living the dream?
I live in the dream. I love it. Thank you very
much. I'm just saying.
Thank you. You're super busy, so you can't play D&D with us on the regular, but
soon.
I'm still hoping, that we can write you in for even one or two campaigns, or maybe there's a chance encounter with your character and we can have a little fun, and then you go off and do your own thing.
Seth has painted me a mini, so it's like I'm physically honor bound to, I think, at some point.
You're obligated.
Yes, and somewhere at some point I have to put in cosplay. Like I really want to do like a pinup Wonder Woman.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Because you see a lot of her with the armor from Gal Gadot's, which I love. But when everyone is doing it, there's a part of me that's just like, nah. Yep. That's why I never did Poison Ivy, because I love her too. Or Catwoman, because I think I was the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman from Batman Returns for about 3 or 4 Halloweens between when the movie came out and middle school. One of my favorite cosplays, which is Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. It started off perfectly neat and clean, like the original video game, because I do her with the shorts and the tank top. And then I was like, it'd be kind of fun if she was a little bit dirty, more rough and tumbled, like she'd been cave diving. And then I was like, well, let's add some bloody bandages. And then it's like, I'm up to the point where I will pour water into mud, fling it up on myself. Last OCon, I had actually cracked my head coming out of a dark room, bright room into a dark hallway, and split it real good. So I put, even though it healed, I still had a bit of a scar. So I put in the red pencil and some purple eyeshadow around it to make it look bruised. I made it look I'm at the point where I make her look like the grizzled, probably smokes a cigar and says, I'm getting too old for this shit, Lara Croft.
Well, we should start this episode of Know Your Nerd with some questions. Everybody out there in Go RPG land is going to want to know all these things. Ooh. I'll add music to this part.
I'll have to, it's like, okay, wait, what do I not want to say so I don't get myself legally incriminated?
I have a couple more drinks, a couple more sips. and we'll get
Can
started.
you explain this picture from 2010? Oh, shit.
Oh, funny.
Like hoping you haven't been deep diving in Google too much in my background.
Oh, Lord. All right, here we go. Enough of that. Let's see. Okay, well, let's start out with something topical with what we're dealing with now with being stuck at home and not able to get out and do the things that we want to do. What are you doing to keep your nerd flag flying high?
Listening to a lot of podcasts. That for sure.
Yeah, what are you into right now?
Well, I'm always into Rogan. I love his Joe Rogan Experience because it's either comedy or science or something like that. I like Star Talk, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay.
He's just phenomenal and actually hooked me into the podcast genre. I used to be a big Welcome to Night Vale. But I lost it, and then it's like if you get behind, it's so hard to catch up on.
Right.
So a lot of that. That's a lot of what I've been doing.
But does that tailor to your nerd side though?
Well,
Joe Rogan's
Talk,
not super
I would say
nerdy.
Well, I feel like if I'm not doing those things, I'm preparing for podcasts lately, either with Sin Nation, SYN, check us out.
Oh, we should be plugging that. I'll plug it at the end.
Sorry. What?
It's still new to me too. It's still new to me too.
Hey, at least I remembered Mikey won't hurt me or kick me in the shins when he finally sees me again. Right. Or like trying to get read up on whatever Galactic Driftwood podcast that we're doing with my friends. Like you said, I've been working a lot. So either I use my podcast to try and keep up with what's going on and talking to you guys. Yeah, really just talking to my nerds to see what they're interested in. We're trying to figure out how we're going to resume our D&D campaign right now. Tough. So that's requiring a little bit of research because I know you're doing a campaign with the guys from Galactic Driftwood, but Seth had been our DM for our own campaign with some college friends. So we haven't played since fucking December, I think. Yeah. And we are all sad pandas because we had a really good pace going. So we got to get that back. Like, right. I think it's easy to lose control of your group and just be like, keep saying we'll get there eventually, but you got to put the dates down.
Yeah, even with this going on, it just makes it that much tougher. But with with him playing, with Seth playing with us and on Zoom, I think he'll figure out how easy it is and be able to slip right into it with you guys, I would hope.
Yeah, well, I think so. It's getting everyone on the same page at the same time.
Yep, I hear you.
Yeah. And honestly, a lot of artwork. One of my most relaxing things I like to do at night is just kind of scroll through what's going on with comic book artwork and different artists. Like I follow Greg Horn because I think his artwork is great. Actually had 2 pieces signed by him from Dallas Comic Con. I was super sad I had to sell them to be able to move up to Nebraska like 7 years ago.
Oh no.
Yeah, like I got one of those pieces of artwork that he kept on the DL because it was like one of those at the time super controversial pieces because we got into a really good chat. And I think at that con I was dressed up as Faye Valentine. It was my first big Comic-Con, and it was the Dallas Comic-Con, which is now Dallas Fan Days. So it's Catwoman from the view of, like, the camera's on the ground so it can see a bowl of milk, and she's, like, down like awesome. That. And then you see Batman behind her, like, with a carton of milk, saying, and like, I think it was titled something like how Batman finally gets Catwoman or something like that. Nice. And he's like, I feel like you're a safe person to bring this out for. Because we had been chatting for like 15-20 minutes and he busted out and I'm like, that is amazing.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, so because to me the artwork that's still going on, especially since obviously a lot of artists are like, well, let's see where else I can go. Has been, like I said, I've seen him shoot out some, what other fandom should I do? It's relaxing to see those lines, those colors, all that stuff.
That's awesome. That's super cool. Let's talk about little Jenna. So when do you think you realized that you were a nerd? Like, how little do you think you were?
Oh. I probably realized there was something off for me from the beginning because I would sit and I would read for hours. My mom wasn't a very good reader, but she made sure I could read well.
Uh-huh.
And I just sit for hours and I would try, and I was like drawing my own little comics and stuff.
Oh, nice.
God. And then Marvel's X-Men cartoon came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just like, holy shit. As a kid, especially if you're a kid who was different, which growing up in all white schools, being Mexican American,
yeah,
that you already felt out of place. So like I got this wonderful example of being different, being persecuted, but being strong and still being kind through the X-Men. Mm-hmm. And it was like a refuge. And the way I would care about comics and books so early, and other people were like, whatever. Or in middle school, one boy made the huge mistake of snatching a book off my desk. And I basically threw the desk down and said, dead fucking serious about my books, give it back. And I said fucking, and that got me in trouble. Oh, no. But yeah, that's, I think, like, definitely I had the inkling around 7 or 8, and then middle school sealed the deal because they would give me such shit for always reading.
Mm-hmm. So which character did you relate to the most in I mean the books, but if you were that drawn to the animated series, who did you relate to?
Oh, Rogue.
Rogue,
definitely.
I wondered.
I think.
Yeah. She was also drawn the best.
She was, and she was a redhead, which after The Little Mermaid and Jessica Rabbit and all the other amazing redheads, like, she was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
She was sassy.
I was always a
and she was strong.
Right, absolutely. I was always a fan of Cyclops from day one.
Really?
Yeah.
He seems like too much of a good boy for you.
I know, but I don't know what it was.
That's your ideal? It's like, I wish I was this good, but...
Yeah, right. I think it had a lot to do with Jean Grey too. And kind of, when I didn't really read X-Men so much. I had a friend who was really into it, and at that time I might have been reading G.I. Joe. Mm-hmm. And I felt like it was so far into the series, it was just too late for me to maybe try to get caught up. And
so, yeah, no, go ahead, keep going.
So when X Factor came out, which was 84, 85, somewhere in there, maybe even a little bit earlier than that, it gave me a chance to get to know the X-Men, and I got to start with the originals. It was, Angel and Beast and Cyclops and Jean Grey and Bobby and Iceman. It was the original 5. So I was like, this is awesome. I get to start kind of back where everybody originally got to start.
Right.
And I got to do this whole new series. And so then, of course, I fell in love with the X-Men at that point under a different title, but still being the same characters. And for some reason, I don't know why, Cyclops I was drawn to him. I just love that. I love the whole story with Jean Grey, but the story I got wasn't any sort of competition with Wolverine or her trying to, or her, being drawn to someone else. She was really dealing with herself and her, what was going on with her and the Dark Phoenix and all that stuff.
Right. The Phoenix saga was great.
Yeah. So it kind of kept her at arm's length from Scott. And I don't know, I just appreciated it. So.
Yeah. There were 2 cartoons I was always like super excited to see every day.
That's so funny. That was one of my questions.
The first was for sure X-Men. And then the other was Gargoyles. Because the artwork's amazing. 2, they really brought in so much different mythology. 3, has all these voices from Star Trek Next Generation. And I used to sit in bed with Mom every night and watch that. Like, that was I'm that level of Trekkie is the Star Trek Next Generation. That's what I grew up with.
I hear you.
And yeah, it was really well done. And it was the first biracial cartoon character. If you think about Eliza Maza,
okay.
Her mother's African American and her father is Native American.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and it was just really, really cool to have a character like that, so deep, and they would look at both sides. Like, she looked Mexican American-ish, but like when they drew her brother, he looked very African American, and
Cool.
eventually ends up being turned into a panther clone gargoyle thing in an experiment gone wrong.
So I never really watched it, but you're not the first person to tell me that I need to probably go check that out. What about games? Were you into any kind of video games? Were you into like anything else that got you excited?
Oh, I mean, God, I I was just about 5 or 6 when Super Mario came out. So, or at least when my cousin William, who always had the latest console, got it.
Hmm.
And so video games were just the greatest thing. Huge Super Mario fan. But then when Myst came out on
Ah,
PC, I turned to computer gaming for like pretty much overnight
right. It was
because that looked
beautiful, beautiful. I remember for the
beautiful,
time, I was like, "What am I seeing? This is
right?
amazing!" Yeah.
You're interacting, the music. It was very calming just to move through that world.
Mhm.
Also frustrating as fuck, but it was awesome.
What is tell me the one biggest nerd thing about yourself that no one knows
That
about you.
no one knows. Okay, so the one thing no one really
Oh, here we
knows.
go. I knew it was going to come out. All right, let me get a drum roll sound effect.
I have read a lot of fan fiction,
You
and
write
I've written fan fiction.
for it's a world exclusive. Here we go.
Oh God.
I'm so
Okay,
excited.
so both Sailor Moon and Pitch Black,
Mm,
because Pitch Black, I've probably seen that movie 20 or 30 times.
okay,
Came
okay,
out when Jenna was hitting 15, 16 and really getting revved up, and
okay.
Vin Diesel was amazing in that.
Right.
So,
Huh.
yeah.
So where is this fan fiction gone?
Hidden in a dead laptop behind me that I'm hoping to maybe get out along with my PhD dissertation. So we'll see.
So it didn't get released to any forums or any.
Uh it was supposed, I was getting revved up for that, and it didn't. Oh, actually, and the third fan fiction world I wrote for was Labyrinth.
Oh, fun, fun, fun.
Yeah,
That's cool.
because I was a huge Jim Henson fan.
Hmm.
But how could you not love Jim Henson after Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Hmm.
I mean, his studio did so much work. It was
I know.
amazing.
Yeah, I grew up with that guy.
Yeah.
Well, that was a really good. That was a really good reveal. I liked it. So
Oh God.
hopefully we can get it out there. Maybe you could just release, maybe just like a chapter on Go RPGs. That'd be great.
Oh God.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Let's see let's move into, I've got some really cool questions here, but let's kind of stay on topic with
Okay.
RPG stuff here for just a minute, and then we'll, as always, we always get way off topic, but that's fine. What was your first introduction to RPGs?
So it was actually college. I had a bunch of friends who played Vampire the Masquerade.
We talked about that one day. Yeah.
And I actually have a huge stack of Vampire the Masquerade RPGs. I've also got the Mummy, the Apocalypse, from the same White Wolf producers, and because I thought the mythology was fantastic,
Right.
and I really, really enjoyed that.
Do you think that's what brought you in, more of that romantic, not romantic, but you know what I mean, the romantic gothic era type? Or if you would have got introduced as a rogue fighting dragons, do you think it would have pulled you in as much as?
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's
Because
just
mythology.
right. I hear
Like, I hugely consumed mythology as a kid. Like, could not read. I don't care if it was 7 variations of the same Greek myth or Egyptian myth or
you.
whatever. I wanted to read it. And that's also why I loved horror movies so much, is because of the mythology, and why, I mean, obviously horror is a huge genre, but I tended to lean towards supernatural, either monsters, ghosts, folklore, witches, things that had these great world building around it.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So it didn't matter necessarily the hook that brought you in. Mm-hmm. Story wise, it was the overall tone.
Yes.
That's cool. I like that. Let's see. Let's move on to some. I like what I like this. I asked my last guest this, and it was really funny. I can't wait to hear your answer. What's the silliest thing that's ever made you cry? Like the most silly, ridiculous thing ever that you're just like, why am I crying? I don't know.
Like crying laughing or crying because it hurts so true?
Yeah, no, just that it just tore you up. But then when you think back on it, you just think that was so silly.
Sober or?
I don't care. It doesn't matter. Was it?
Like, I was so terrified when the original Jurassic Park came out, but it was so funny when the lawyer started, like, totally got snatched up by the T-Rex. I was like...
Is that when he was sitting on the toilet?
Yeah, it shook like a ragdoll. I was laughing, but I was also terrified. So I was, like, crying at the same time.
How old were you?
So 1990, like, I'm really lucky. I started kindergarten in 1990, so I can, like, count years of grades.
Yeah.
So that came out in 1990 and 84, so I would have been, like, 6.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hear you. Let's move on to, let's talk about your RPG now. You're talking about a campaign that you're in. What's the character that you play?
It's Kana.
The world needs to know. The world needs to know.
So it's Kana, and she's a shifter, which is basically their ancestors were werewolves, except they've come to be able to control their ability to shift. And she's a rogue. And what we did was we came up with this backstory because I found out in the world that Seth had created, there was like this dude called the Collector, who was kind of like this underground for this city, like seedy thing, and he liked collecting things. And with Kana being the last wild member of her clan that happened to be picked up, he collected her as a young kid, as, you know, an oddity, and ends up like inadvertently raising her to like go continue collecting for him. So where most shifters as a race are more like woodland and forest and being adaptable that way, she's very much a city adaptable, really well known, like can squeak, like kind of underground, knows the city very well. But where it came to hurt us is because she was so well known in the city, and obviously when she'd been acquiring her skills growing up under this underground business, you know, crime lord, she has been in jail enough. I couldn't help them on this whole bluffing thing to get some people we knew out of jail. It's like, there's no way I can walk in there.
Right, because you've been in jail like 57 times.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be like,
really?
Who are your friends? We're assuming they broke the law too.
Oh, and I'll ask you about it tomorrow too, so you better.
Son of a bitch. Okay, there's homework. I got it.
At some point tomorrow. Okay, are you ready for the 3 secret questions?
You've already gotten out of me that I've written fan fiction. Oh God, what else?
Well, these are
Go on.
These are fun. These aren't gonna wreck your life or your I don't want to say your standing in the community. Okay. I don't always ask everyone this one. Only certain guests get this one. I think you'll be fun for this. And maybe Seth. Underoos. Did you have them as a kid? And if you did, what were they? And if you didn't have underoos, were you sad and you wanted which ones?
Yeah, totally.
Which ones did you have?
They were unicorns. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. I do what I want.
I had some Incredible Hulk ones, and I was devastated my parents wouldn't buy me the C-3PO ones. And they were little gold underwears, and then the tank top had the little circle thing on it that C-3PO has on his.
See, I really wanted Wonder Woman ones because I loved the Linda Carter Wonder Woman. And wherever we were in Oklahoma, like when I was a little kid, like they didn't have them, or they were like so much more expensive. It just wasn't. I think it wasn't practical.
They were probably the most popular ones for girls. I think was probably the Wonder Woman ones. I'm gonna make this more of a broad question. Generally, it's just down to 2 people, but I don't think that's as fun. Not with you. I think knowing you as I've got to know you, that this question needs to be a little broader. So what Scooby-Doo character are you?
So I was totally Velma, but I wanted to be Daphne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I opened it up because I didn't know if maybe you didn't want to be in that box, just being one of the girls, that maybe it was one of the other.
No, like, so I did appreciate Shaggy a lot. And the best to me, Scooby-Doo in all its iterations and most underappreciated is Scooby-Doo and the Boo Brothers. Do you remember that?
The Boo Brothers? No, what's the Boo
The
Brothers?
Boo Brothers. Yeah, no, it was like, and they probably maybe wouldn't allow it now because it happened, it was set in the Confederate South. Some like estranged uncle of Shaggy's died.
Okay.
And they have to find these clues to get this treasure. And like there's a hunchback butler, and they end up accidentally hiring these ghosts to like help them discover the mystery.
Okay.
Like I watched that VHS so much that I killed it.
Does that mean it was like an hour-long movie?
Yeah, it was a movie. Look it up, Scooby-Doo and the Boo Brothers.
Okay.
And it had like a catchy little tune. Like even now, I feel like it would withhold the test of time.
All right,
yeah, it was great.
All right, so, I interrupted you, and I'm sorry. You picked your character.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, like because Velma was super smart, nerdy, but often overlooked, but I wanted to be pretty like Daphne.
Okay.
Because of the fact that between my big ears and my dimples, I got called troll face in school. Oh. Like the treasure trolls. The treasure trolls with like the gem on their tummies.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's what I got called by the other girls.
Are those the ones that had the big pointy hair?
Yes.
You wore your hair pointy like that?
No, but here's the thing. I really wanted to find a wig that was colorful, pointy, because I wanted to like totally take that in college and just reverse it and just make like a sexy troll, like treasure troll, to be like, yeah, I'm a fucking troll. What now?
Yeah, look at me now, bitches. Now you're by yourself. If you decided that you needed to retreat to a desert island because of the COVID, which is not a laughing matter.
No.
What are the 3 things that you would absolutely have to take? And we got to keep them nerd related.
Okay. I am going to take definitely a sketch pad. Mm-hmm. Like a big one. And we're going to assume that the pencils are part of that one single item.
Totally. Yeah.
For the art and things like that. But also because if the pencils die and run out, I'll have the charcoal from my fire, my survival fire, to keep drawing.
Yeah. Good point.
I'm going to need a Stephen King book. Okay. Because 1, his books are that long, and 2, I love his writing.
Right.
It's probably going to be his book on writing.
Interesting.
For the simple fact that you learn so much about his life, and the way he gets you thinking about life in detail in general is going to be very meditative.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to following your dreams.
Okay.
And for anyone who would say Stephen King's not nerdy, again, if you wanted, the book that made me like stand up and throw a desk on a guy in middle school was because it was a Stephen King book. I think it was Tommy Knockers I was reading at the time. It was either Tommy Knockers or The Stand, and he ripped it off my desk and was trying to laugh about it. And I was like,
I enjoy his short stories. Those
the novellas, like The Mist, and
yeah, I love those. Okay, anyway, this is your time. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so then the 3rd thing, I would want to take my SheHulk figurine.
Okay.
As inspiration to like keep the shit together.
Okay.
Be smart, but be strong. Mm-hmm. And like remember that the outside is as important as the inside in terms of like how you treat yourself. It's great to have a great personality, but you also need to look at your health. You know, if you got a great body, that's cool, but if your mind's not together as well, like, again, another meditative object in this craziness on the island.
Well, and it could be your Wilson. It could be somebody to talk to.
Yes, I know. I would totally talk to her.
I bet you would.
And yeah, so it's a great figurine. It's somewhere, it needs to be unpacked. She's been a guest on Galactic Driftwood, so
yeah, you'll have to put her up or send me a pic so I can slip it in when I edit this thing together.
Yeah, it's a Shujo version, so it's great.
Cool.
Like she's got the and then she's got the bam thighs, like it's great.
That's the thing with She-Hulk. It's always the boobs, and she's always got thighs. Like, yeah. They always they do these massive thighs on her.
Because I want to believe Mama knows how to squat.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I have a good butt, so I think you're right. All right. Well, do you want to plug anything you want to plug?
Always Galactic Driftwood because our guys are amazing. Obviously Go RPG because I love you. And then Sim Nation, but SYN. Yeah. Don't Google it. Don't Google the other one. We can't make any promises that the content would be appropriate.
I hear you. Funny, your Galactic Driftwood crew kind of embodies everything that's awesome and great and cool about being nerds. Like, absolutely make it a cool thing to be.
Thank you. I think we do a good job. I'd like to believe it in terms of the scope, perspective, variability and taste, and just that you don't have to be a teenager to be a nerd.
Yeah, exactly, right. And I like that everybody in your group has something to bring in that's different. So I think that's super cool. But yet you can still come together on topics too, you know. So
right.
Yeah, it's super cool. I really appreciate that you guys invited me into your little circle. It's really grown this friendship for all of us to this whole big thing. And then I brought in a couple of weirdos and then you guys joined Synergy, and yeah, it's been so cool. I couldn't be more thankful to how things have turned out this last year. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's awesome.
It was an honor that you asked me. Like I said, being nerd out with all your horror stuff, living the dream, doing the thing. You occasionally post memories of convention you've been through, either because of your book or because you're meeting your masters that have inspired you in your career and what works. And I'm just like, yeah, that's the way. That's like quality of life right there.
It's really what you make it. I feel like I surround myself with a lot of people that do that, just embrace life and just take every opportunity they can to enjoy it and be a part of it. So that's awesome. But thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for being my friend and sending me goofy memes every day.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're gonna plug Go RPGs. I'm gonna put all the links up.
All the links.
RPGs, there's a group and there's a link. Yes. I'll also put the link up for Galactic Driftwood.
.space.
What's that?
It's like Galactic Driftwood space. Like that's instead of .com, it's like .space.
Oh, .space.
But we're also on all the things like YouTube and Apple Podcast and all the fun things.
They're everywhere.
That's Seth. Seth and Bill. They're like, we'll put us in. We like to whore ourselves out a bit. It's great.
That's all right. And then there'll also be a link for Synergy Nation Network, which is just a I can't ever say the word. You say it.
Collaboration?
No.
Conglomeration?
I think so. We might have to edit that part out.
A commune of podcasts.
It's a collective.
The collective?
Of all kinds of really cool shows. There's nerd stuff. There's Go RPGs, which is role-playing stuff. Mikey does a really cool job of doing a lot of pop culture things. You guys do a lot of really cool pop culture things too, that also have that feel of sci-fi and anime. And you guys also are doing pop culture, but not sort of a mainstream. You know what I mean?
I mean, it just depends on what the mood in. That's what's great. Like we just did Westworld, but we digressed into Neuralink from Elon Musk and that whole project that he's working on. So,
right, cool.
like, who knows where it will take you? I mean, we're just out on a journey to learn new and interesting things.
Right. We're doing Westworld. I think I got Megan and we're on episode 4, I think is where we're at. It's really good. And then there's also shows like Running Up the Tab, which is just some good old boys talking about college stories and funny things that happen and just kind of things that are going on in the world right now. I think a couple more shows are about to come on. We're in talks with another show.
Thoughts and shots.
What's that?
Thoughts and shots.
Yeah, that's going to be that's the newest one that's either on or about to be on. And then we've got another one. Her name's Courtney, and she does a podcast with her mom. And they are just, the more they drink this, the more silly they get. And knowing the two of them and a little clip video they sent us is really funny. So I think that'll be a good show. But I'll have links to all that stuff on here. I'm going to bore everybody to death if I'm not careful. So again, I'm Benito Garcia.
And I'm Jenna Valadez.
And this is Go RPGs Know Your Nerd. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
Bye.